modified hypergeometric distribution to reduce the number of mulligans everyone takes. They take the 10% most resource light hands and 5% most resource dense hands that your any given deck could generate, and it just doesn't generate those hands for people. So those no resource hands and all resource hands are just like auto mulligans for folks. Those just like don't happen in Hex. So they kind of have less non-games for one player mulligans to a low number. Actually paired into K Ketter here, who is Kent Ketter. It's actually someone I know from the Open Series. He's on my Hex testing team. Like, so another thing here is you'll notice we have portraits on either side of the table here. And Kent's says Cassidy Gold Knight and mine says Lady Avalanche. These aren't just cosmetic. These have an effect on the game. You'll notice Kent and I have different starting health totals. He starts at 23 and I start at 22. And each of these have what's called a champion power. So they each cost 4 charges, and they're varying, but both of ours happen to cost 4. This says it gives one of my troops momentum and lets me play an additional resource for the 1 turn. And Kent's lets him illuminate 1, and illuminate either lets him create a 1/1 candle token or make all of his existing candles larger. One of the things that's really interesting about the champion aspect in Hex is you get to see what your opponent's champion is before you start making mulliganing decisions. So basically you get to make informed mulliganing decisions when you're playing. So basically Kent's champion is Cassidy Gold Knight. That's usually a more aggressive champion. So I'm going to want to probably keep hands that are able to be a little bit faster in my aggressive deck as opposed to ones that could potentially be slower. They're similar to, it'd be closer to say Vanguard if you ever played that Magic variant rather than anything else. Another one of the things, and this is similar to Magic but different from other digital TCGs here, is that Hex has a full buy-sell trade secondary market. So unlike a lot of the games where you're just like crafting cards and winding and grinding things into dust, in Hex, where are the seatbelts? ZCS, I do need to get that emote set up. In Hex, you can just buy cards outright. In fact, my scrolling banner in the Hex corner, they're Hex Primal. They're kind of the MTGO traders or Star City games of Hex. You can just fill a shopping cart on their website and hit checkout. One of the nice things about that is I'm kind of, a lot of the games, other games that I've played, I've been kind of hesitant to like buy into them because I wasn't sure if it was a game I was going to like. But with Hex, you can sell back out of it if you're not enjoying the gameplay, or if you pick up a deck and you don't enjoy the play pattern of that deck, but you kind of like Hex itself, you can sell that deck to another player or store on the auction house and get a good portion of the money back from it as opposed to, you know, 25% of the value when you're dusting things. So Kent's created a drop of wax here, which illuminates for him. So you can see here, instead of making more candles, he's chosen to make all of his candles larger. Getting attacked for 6. That's pretty good. Does he have a third resource? Does not have a third resource. Well, that's great for us. Pretty good draw. So I'm going to play my resource out here. So when I play a resource, I get to choose. This is a dual shard, so I get to pick an extra shard that it makes. So you can see down here, I've played 3 resources total, and 2 of them were diamond and 1 of them was wild. We're going to play Shamrock, the Goldfather, out here. Looking to put together a control deck. I think the Judge Burgle deck, the Blood Diamond control deck, is actually pretty reasonable. So Kent's got 1 resource up here. You can see when I play a card, it goes out into the center of the board, and that's called the chain. So basically, there's a priority-based system in Hex where you have a chance to respond to things. So Kent likely has a Wrath of the Elements that's going to be able to void one of my 2 troops here at my end of turn. Yep, it's uploading right now, Shannon. It's going to be like 5 minutes on the upload, and then it's likely going to be about a half hour to process after that. Flame Barrage. So this is a really good digital design that like would be clunky to do in a paper game, but it's really simple to do in a digital game that doesn't have anything to do with variance. So this card starts off with this dealing 1 damage, and then whenever they play an action, as long as this is in their hand, the number of damage this does increases by 1. So Kent's played 3 actions this turn, so this does 4 damage for one resource there. I might end up falling behind here to Kent's board, so this is going to let him, hey, JVL with the 18-month resubscription. Thank you for the continued support. I do appreciate it. This more centered here. So he illuminated his candles again, which cranks them up to 3/3s. Yep. So I think I'm gonna need to pump the brakes here for a turn. kind of on the defense. So I'm going to play the Skylance Captain. So my deck's built around the mechanic called Momentum. And what Momentum does is, the first time it starts with a number, when you play a resource, this troop gets larger, equal to its momentum number, and then the momentum number goes up by 1. So you can see this, Righteous Waxshot, that's the third resource I've played. Well, she's out, so she's now a 3/4. Now I'm going to go ahead and Lady Avalanche this. Let me play an extra resource this turn, so I get to trigger momentum for a second time this turn now, and make these troops super large. And I'm going to go ahead and Decree of Banishing my opponent here, and void one of their candles. What's expensive in this deck? This deck that I'm playing, the Exalted Pathfinders and the Goldfathers are a little bit on the expensive side. The deck Kent's playing is fairly, is a tier 1, 1.5 deck that is pretty cost efficient. I think it's like $60 to buy outright, and it's about $15 for a budget version. So I got 2 large troops back here on defense. If Kent has a couple pieces of removal, I could be in trouble, but if he just has 1, I'm going to get to play defense pretty nicely here. Yep, there's a Flame Barrage. That does 5 to my dork. Don't have Wrath of the Elements, kills me here. Wrath of the Elements is lethal. He might just shove with, yep, I was gonna say he might just shove with all of these. Waxed On is also lethal, but he doesn't have the resources for that. Alright, that's a Shamrock Goldfather, so I guess I'm gonna play this out, and then we'll see if Kent has another piece of removal here or not. This card says whenever Kent plays a card while this is on the battlefield, I generate a Lucky Coin resource to play into my hand, which is nice for me. The Lucky Coin resource also is sweet because it has the mechanical Fate Weave on it. So when I play this card's going to go ahead and say, okay, what do you want to draw next turn, Jeff? Do you want to draw a resource or a non-resource? And I really want to draw another resource so I can keep triggering momentum. I'm going to go play out this Pippit Pal. I think I'm going to play defense here. Yeah, I'm going to play defense because I don't want to be dead to a single piece of removal here. Out of Kent. Both of his troops are lethal currently. I got to try and fade Waxed On. Waxed On's a card that gives Kent's candles flying. If you're one of the Magic players in the audience, you're interested in learning a little bit more about Hex, I have an article called How to Hex here that kind of describes Hex in kind of Magic terms. Huh. Okay, so I'm going to play this Diamond Shard out. And then I'm going to play this Lucky Coin out, and I'm going to Fate Weave another resource to the top of my deck here. And then I'm going to play this Jackhat Heckler out. And what Jackhat says is, this has an ability where I can exhaust it to make one of my troops battle one of my opponent's troops. So I'm going to go ahead and use this and battle this candle. And then I think I'm actually going to pump the brakes here for another turn, because I think it's very possible that Kent has the card Waxed On in his hand, which is a quick card. That's exactly this. It illuminates 2, so it's going to make 2 candles for Kent. So I am going to be dead to removal this turn, because I know Kent has a drop of wax in his hand, so I need to dodge another piece of removal here. Yep, there's a drop of wax that counts his things up too. Yeah, Heckler seems really good. Yep. And Kent's gone very wide here. Yeah, so it's slightly different than Magic's Abundance too, because Magic's Abundance, for instance, you what's the word that I'm searching for? You can't stack instances of it. So because Hex is all digital, it doesn't actually shuffle. So basically, you're able to, what's the word that I'm searching for? You're able to stack instances of Fate Weave. I'm gonna go ahead and use my Pippit Pal here, and what this does, it transforms a troop I control into a random wild troop of cost 7 or greater. So hopefully we can get something with Crush here. That would be really good. That does not have Crush. I think I'm just going to be dead here. Yes, I can use this. This lets me discard 3 coins to play the top card of my deck out for free. Okay, that's a Palm of Granite. I don't think that helps me though. Yeah, I can make this guy really large, but without getting Crush on it, so it can crush over what Kent's doing. I just don't have any way to cut through these guys. It's a close game. All right, so on the play, I don't want to change too much on the play in my deck. I just want to try and be a little bit proactive, I think. Hyperborean Huntmasters are pretty good cards. It's a 3/2 that's quick, so I can play it on my opponent's turn and prevents all combat damage that will be dealt by other cards. So I'm going to bring in a couple of those to kind of fog Kent's large attacks and then kill them on the backswing. What do I want to trim here? I'm trim these Pippit Pals on the play. Might bring them back in on the draw. We'll see. See if we get a third game here if Kent just runs us out. Going on, Snarky? Sounds fine. So my Brighthammer Adept, Brighthammer Adept's another good example of digital mechanics. So it has a mechanic called Fate Weave. It is, for starters, it's socketed. So what this card does is it's customizable. So the customization that I have in this card right now is when it comes into play, it gets the Fate Weave to kind of stack the top card of my deck to choose what type of card I want to draw the following turn. Basically, if someone else had Brighthammer Adepts, their Brighthammer Adepts might be slightly different than what mine are based on what customizations they have in them. I can also change what customizations are in this card based on in between reserving, so in between games 1 and games 2. Okay, Mortal, I'll take a look at it. I think I'm just going to play some games with Momentum tonight. They've not done another battle board since the ship. How are socketings usually written out in decklist? It usually just says after the card name socketed with and then brackets or parentheses. Yeah, it's sweet. And like the customizations you can put in these cards is different depending on what colors you have. So like I'm a wild diamond deck, but if someone has this in say a wild sapphire deck, they'd have different customizations to put in it potentially. No, I don't think so, Captain. Kent would just identified his role properly on the play and like pressured us a little bit. I think we would have been pretty well off that last game had I hit a piece of removal slightly sooner. What's going on, Tom? We just switched over to Hex or streaming Magic for a while before that. I'm gonna go ahead and put a non-resource on top of my deck here. I'm kind of looking for a little bit of help still. And then this next Brighthammer Adept can potentially Fate Weave another resource for us. Ugh, that's a dagger. So Return to Cinder Shock's my thing. I'm gonna attack for 2 here. Because I can probably illuminate this anyway, so might as well get in my chip shot. Attack me for 1. No, it's just a random ladder match. Skylance Captain. Okay. I'm gonna play this out. I'm gonna play my Heckler. I'm gonna go ahead and attack with this. So I'm just going to use this to clean out Kent's board here. So this can fight this, and then it's going to trade with these two. That was an okay exchange for me. Not sure. Felt okay on my end. Hopefully we hit a non-slow shard next turn, so I can go Sky... That's annoying. Acolyte. Hopefully a non-slow shard so I can go Skylance into Shard, into Brighthammer, Fate Weave another resource to the top of my deck to kind of continue pressuring Kent. Probably making another Candlekin here, yep. It's not a resource. Yeah, I'm just gonna play Skylance Captain. Having flight's pretty good. Getting to start attacking in the air. No, Heckler is really good. It makes two things fight each other. It'd be pretty bad if it could only fight itself since it's a 4/1. Yeah, it's repeatable removal when you have a lot of large troops. Yep. Sorry about that. Just tweeting that we're playing some Hex. So Cyan's a really powerful, scary card. It says whenever Kent plays a non-resource card, he gets to illuminate 1. And now I'm in kind of a bad spot because like I want resources so I can hit my momentum, but at the same time I like need to kill this Scion. This is a free attack for him because he knows I don't want to block. Scion is very, very powerful. It's like, yep, has a piece of removal for this, which makes the candles larger. I'm taking 6 here. Pass the turn here. This turn smells like a Huntmaster, so Kent might sniff out that this is here. Candles just get larger. He's gonna get a non-resource with this, so his candles are gonna turn into 4s. This game's pretty over. Let's take another crack at it, shall we? So you can see there my ladder ranked pop up. Hex's constructed ladder is completely free to play on, so once you have a constructed deck, you can just play as much as you want for no more investment. Hex also has pretty good competitive tournaments. Every Saturday and Sunday, they have $1,000 cash prize tournaments that also have additional in-game prizes to the top 32 players. The constructed one on Saturdays has a $7 entry fee, and the sealed one on Sundays has a $15 entry fee, but that also includes six booster packs that you keep the cards from. The ladder ranking matters, so Hex's ladder is broken up into 2-month ladder seasons, and at the end of every 2 months, the top 64 players on how strong do the memes get in Hex. So one of the things, and as someone who appreciates interactive games of TCGs, the powerful combo decks in Hex generally don't start comboing until usually the 4th, 5th, or even 6th turns a lot of the time. So they're genuinely weak to the aggro decks, but they're good against mid-range and control, kind of how you expect them to be. So there's nothing like turn 1 degenerate, but there are powerful combo decks that can like play through disruption and have a lot of lines to them. Go down, Mr. Ketter. Thank you for the beating. What's your general impression so far in testing of the stronger decks and the constructed ladder? I think my two favorite... This is definitely my favorite deck, but honestly, I'm not 100% sure that this deck is actually better than the Candles decks in terms of the, like, which aggressive deck is better. This is just an aggressive deck that gets to play Exalted Pathfinder, which says whenever you play a resource, draw a card, and, like, I'm a sucker for drawing cards, so, like, if an aggressive deck gets to draw cards, I'm immediately drawn to it. And the best deck last season, Bob, was probably more relatable to Storm than Cheerios. It is more expensive, yep. So I'm going to play this, and I'm going to Fate Weave a resource to the top of the deck with Brighthammer Adept here. And Brighthammer Adept is going to get followed up by Pippit Pal here. And what Pippit Pal does, in addition to being a 1/4, she says I can play an additional resource every turn. So I'm going to get to put her out and then play 2 resources next turn to kick him up to a 4/4. I own pretty much all of the constructed playable cards, yep. Yeah. This, in addition to letting you play an extra resource every turn, this also says you can pay 7 to upgrade one of your troops to a random troop that's going to be large. So it has longevity in the mid to late game as well, especially against more controlling decks. Excuse me. This is just another really small use of the digital design space here that, again, is simple, doesn't, it kind of involves random, I guess. It says when you attack with this, you take one troop from your hand and put it into your deck, and then you get a new troop out of your deck at random, and it gets +1/+1. I'm going to play this, which increases the momentum by this. You see Gerard brought back Teamer Moons. I mean, Gerard's been playing that deck for forever, so, like, Gerard's just, like, a really good Magic player, so, like, the fact that Gerard did well with that deck doesn't surprise me. Play a second resource, which takes this momentum up to 4. Yeah, from an interactive and, like, control deck standpoint, like, anyone who's played control decks in Magic knows that, like, you're like, all right, I'm going to keep this hand, but I'm just dead if my opponent's playing an aggro deck. And they, like, go turn 1 Goblin Guy, and you're like, all right, I'm dead. Or, like, you keep a hand, you're like, all right, this is good against aggressive deck. And then your opponent's like, turn 1 Island Ponder, and you're like, oh, man, we're dead. The deck I'm playing is kind of a ramp deck, so I'm not accelerating into individually expensive cards, but a lot of my troops have this momentum mechanic, which makes them larger when you play more resources. So it's kind of built around that idea as opposed to ramping into individually large threats. Maybe, Tom? I don't know. I guess that does guarantee me Exalted Pathfinder next turn. Yeah, that's probably a little bit better, Tom. That would leave me a resource in my hand, so the next turn I could guaranteed go Exalted Pathfinder, play a resource, draw a card. Hopefully I'm just lucky and draw a resource and it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think you're right that I probably should have played the Palm last turn as opposed to the Pippit Pal. It would have still got me 2 resources to attack through on this, and then I'd guaranteed get to draw a card with this. It's a free block here, they just bounce off each other. Why did using Pippit Pals on a creature with momentum keep the momentum count? So that's actually a good question. So one of the things that's God, I'm a professional. One of the things that's important to note about Pippit Pal is that it doesn't say revert the troop. So if you don't revert the troop, you just get to keep any modifiers that are on the troop here. So basically, momentum is a bonus, so you get to... It's kind of a pummeler deck. It's definitely, and you can see here, as I get to play out all these extra resources here, my troops just keep getting larger and larger with every resource that I play. And this guy just provided me with a steady stream of more cards here. So these troops got very large. You do have some very explosive turns with this deck. Which is one of the reasons I like playing it. It's like, all right, crack you for 20. So I think you're right, Tom, that your line was probably objectively correct and more conservative, but I am a filthy lucker, so we got paid off for me taking a line that allowed me to do this. And like this Palm of Granite that gets me 2 shards, next turn I'm going to play this other Pathfinder, and then I'm going to play this Palm of Granite, which is going to play 2 shards basically. It's going to play one directly and then give me another one from my hand. Those are going to draw me 4 cards, which will then give me an extra resource to hopefully play with this Pippit Pal. So I'm just going to like trigger momentums all over the place here. Opponents just packing it in because my troops are, even on board, they're in trouble. I probably would have waited and made me show them that I had an additional resource to play out, but they were pretty dead there. So on the draw in this deck, I like to be a little bit more reactive against these other decks. So I'm going to trim my Jubilant Jousters, and also my Cunningham. I'm going to trim an Exalted Pathfinder. Maybe it's Pippit Pal. Trim these Pippit Pals. I'm going to bring in 2 Blinding Ires and 3 Winter's Grasps, so I can have some more targeted spot removal for them. Have I played the turns deck yet? Like standard turns or immortal turns? Yeah, having an API is great. So they got that sorted on the Linux client for me. So Hex, if you're a geek like me, has an API output that you can tie into, and I actually wrote a Python application that grabs the deck list when I save it here and updates it on the side there and ties it into OBS for us. Someday, once upon a time, no, I've not played that one yet, Krail. I will at some point. We're definitely going to play Turtle Turns. What's going on, Fred? Fred knows his way around the API as well. Seems okay. It doesn't have a 2-drop, but we've got 2 shots at drawing a 2-drop. And any one of my hands that has like Righteous Waxshot on one, I have a really hard time throwing back. We might not have a play on 2, but like we boarded into a lot of plays. Earth Mother, a 0/3 that says Diligence, so when this readies, it gives them an extra resource. So the Python just creates a static image link, and then OBS just points its image viewer to the static image that gets updated. Although I believe OBS has tools for integrating directly with Python if you wanted to do something classier than that, but that was simple and worked, so I wasn't messing with it. Opponent's deck's kind of interesting. They've got Earth Mothers and Witch of the Ocean Wells. They have a lot of pretty proactive turn 1 plays. Hey, there's a good 2-drop. So I'm going to go ahead and play the Leprechaun Artist out here. And Leprechaun Artist says it's a momentum troop with Steadfast. And this says whenever this attacks, it creates one of those lucky coins like the Goldfather creates. So we've got these two leprechauns here, and they love them some coins. I don't actually know, Journey. That's an interesting question. I'm not sure offhand. No blocks here. I could take this as like a free block, but the chance they have a combat trick would be bad for me. I'm going to go ahead and play this out and get another diamond. I'm going to go ahead and play the Shamrock Goldfather out this way in case my opponent has something to interact with these guys inside of combat. I'm going to get an extra coin off of it. Opponent takes 4. When this hits my opponent, you saw it light up there. It gives one of my troops an extra momentum, so he's up to momentum 3 now. Our next turn is going to be very, very good. We're going to get to go ahead and play Well of Life out, triggering momentum. I'm going to get to Champ Power my Shamrock, give it momentum, play another resource, and then I'm going to get to play Jackhat Heckler and battle one of my opponent's things down, while also attacking them for a very large amount. Getter, you should be talking to people in the team chat and figuring out what matches we want to test. Rotting Chompknight. That doesn't seem particularly good against us. This destroys an artifact or a constant. I don't really have any of those in my deck. At least not in this matchup. So my opponent can't really attack in with anything here. Or they're going to. Okay, so they just want to throw one of these away to get an extra ramp out of it. Sure. I believe I'm going to be able to get large enough here to just kill this inside of combat. Or kill this with the Jackhat Heckler. I'm going to do this. Make my folks large. Tag this, give it momentum. I'm going to play this, and Fate Weave a guaranteed... Oh, I made a small mistake here. I'm going to put a non-resource on top of my deck. I should have played this out before doing that, because this has momentum, so it would have gotten bigger there. Correct, yeah. The rewards once you're inside of Cosmic is that you get to qualify for the Cosmic Crown Showdown. I'm going to have these 2 battle, so that dies. Righteous Waxshot out, and that they want to trade. I want them to be able to trade this here. Probably not. So I'm just going to leave this 7/8 back on defense. They could have like a big wildlife next turn potentially, but I think our troops are large enough that even if they play like wildlife for 4 here, we're probably just going to be able to smash through. When you get these leprechauns going, this deck is just so powerful because they provide a steady stream of action by fate weaving non-resources at the top while also ensuring that we hit momentum every turn. No wildlife, opponent said. Inkhorn, sure. And like I said, even if they had wildlife, I think they'd still be up a creek without a paddle here. No, Marty, because the 8/8 still would have only had 1 point of defense left, so I still wouldn't have been able to attack in. Yeah, I agree. I think the extra coin is better. Let's queue in. Momentum again. I wish their scroller would default the last deck you select to the top. Be nice. Using Baroness Florina. I don't actually know what that card does offhand. I think MTG bot's still dead. Oh, the plant zombie. Metro played something like that in the first bash, and he top 8'd it the week 1. I'm not sure if that's good in general, though. I feel like it's pretty soft to the control decks. It could be that maybe there's an aggressive deck that uses that can leverage, what's the card I'm searching for? This hand is very good on the play. We get to a Waxshot into Leprechaun into Shamrock Goldfather. Opponent's playing a Donzadek, which is a 3-charge champion that verdicts. Usually this is a control champion. Could be Sapphire Diamond, could be Blood Diamond. This hand on the play, though, is the type of hand that could definitely steal a game 1 against this aggressive deck. Looks like Sapphire Ace here. I think the Sapphire Diamond match is probably a little bit better for us than the Blood Diamond matchup. Play out my Leprechaun Artist, and then this is going to get in a hit here, which is going to trigger momentum, give this additional momentum. So next turn I'm going to be attacking for 5 while also playing this Shamrock out. See if they have a Winter's Grasp here or not. If they don't, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to play this. I'm going to play the Shamrock Goldfather pre-combat here. And the reason for this is if my opponent has a Rune Bind, this way, if they Rune Bind the Goldfather, the Leprechaun Artist is going to put the Goldfather back into play. Rune Bind is pretty bad against these Leprechauns in general. Okay, they have a Winter's Grasp. Interesting that they're prioritizing getting rid of that one as opposed to getting rid of this one that generates coins for me. Arch Whisper here. Okay, they're going to Verdict. So Verdict presents me with 2 different choices. I can either discard a card at random or let my opponent draw a card. And each of these get pulled from a pool of 5 positives for my opponent and 5 negatives for me. And then the game kind of chooses one smartly at random. I chose to discard a card at random, having 3 bad cards in my hand, and it discarded the only card that I cared about. Classic Hogland. Alright, let's play this out. Let's target him with this, so I can play another one here, get a little bit more momentum going. Attack for 13 here. Take another lucky coin. You have a Rune Bind here. Feels like a Rune Bind, right? Probably want to get the Rune Bind in after I get my attack in, so this doesn't undo it. Into the Unknown. Okay, so it's going to return this to my hand and turn it into a different Diamond wild card. Worth noting that Into the Unknown doesn't revert the thing that it targets, so this is going to keep its momentum trigger. This is up to momentum 5 now, so still attack as a 6/6 next turn. Maybe I should have played... Yeah, I should have... small mistake on my part. I probably should have played one of these lucky coins out to Fate Weave a non-resource to the top of my deck to guarantee I draw some action next turn. I have a Dark Heart here. Alright, Adjudicator's kind of annoying. Will we draw a piece of action? God, I am running ice cold. Fate Weave a non-resource to the top. The good news is we're going to draw non-resources for the next couple turns here, because when this attacks, it Fate Weaves. So there's now 2 non-resources stacked on top of my deck. We're coming across the board for 11 here. This is up to a 3/3, momentum 3. So it's going to be attacking as a 6. This will be attacking as a 7 next turn. Yeah, the fact that I did not draw action that turn might actually be the death of me. One of the things to keep in mind is that once my opponent has 5 resources up, we're going to be attacking into Sunlit Verdict, so it's something I need to think about. Enters grasping my card during my ready step. Yep, while it's smaller. That's kind of cute. So you can see here, this used to be a Shamrock Goldfeather, but my opponent transformed it into the 6/6. So I'm going to play this out. Play out this lucky coin. A non-resource on top of my deck. And we're gonna guaranteed draw non-resources for the next few turns here, stacking these non-resource Fate Weaves. Got plenty of resources in my hand, so. And now Dark Heart's not even an out for my opponent, because my opponent draws a Dark Heart. I get to sacrifice this, and then I have a flyer to go over the top. Worth noting here that my opponent has that yep, make my troops smaller. Yep. So the dragon gives my troops a mechanic called Lifebound, but that only really matters if I have multiple troops out. Basically, Lifebound troops bring each other back to play every turn if I have multiple Lifebound troops, but because I just have the one Lifebound troop, it's just mostly irrelevant. This Leprechaun Artist here. And then again, this is a small thing, but I'm only going to attack with one of my troops here, because if my opponent has the card that lets them verdict on... If my opponent has the card that lets them destroy all attacking troops, I don't want to get blown out by that, which is actually what they have. They have Sunlit Sentence here, destroy each attacking troop, and then double verdict. I will discard a random card. Yep, don't have any good ones. I'll give you a Nightfall that slowly kills me. So they live to fight another day here. My internet had a small hiccup there, I think. Arch Whisperer, sure. So this isn't quite lethal, so if they find an answer to this Mile Length, they could possibly live through the turn here. They only have 4 up. They're just dead. Sweet. Okay, so post board, what are we doing here? We bring in Brosi-Buks and Rotting Chompknights and Corners of the World. I'm going to cut these Palm of Granites. Cut these Decree of Banishings. Heckler's probably fine. It lets me kill Dark Heart. Jubilant Jouster's a little bit medium. Do that. So Brosi-Buk is kind of a powerful card. He says this is a quick troop that's a 3/3 with spell shield, so can't be targeted. When it comes into play, each player discards their entire hand and creates 5 random cards that they can play. So our deck's really good at like vomiting its hand out onto the table, and basically we get almost empty-handed, and then we jam a Brosi, and our opponent has to discard everything they have, and we discard whatever couple things we have left, and then we both get on equal parity while we're slightly ahead on board. Pippit Pal I could take or leave. Maybe he's worse than the 2-drops. I could see Pippit Pal being worse than the 2-drops. Yeah, I like that it can ramp itself up, though. It's like a good top deck in the late game. And with Corners of the World can bring back troops that cost 3 or less, so I think it's good there. I'm going to try this. I'm not 100% sure. This is a matchup I've been meaning to test. Like, I put Corners of the World and more Brosi-Buks into my reserves for these control matchups, but I haven't had a chance to test them yet since I made those changes, so I'm not 100% sure what my ins and outs are for it. Let me keep this hand. Need some resources, but we're on the draw. Oh, you know what? I thought I was going to cut these shards of life for more ice. I must not have done that. And the resource is great. Now I get to go Righteous Waxshot into Slow Shard into... Yeah, I think I can cut these two slow duels for 2 more pieces of ice in this deck, realistically. I don't have any double... When I had the slow duels in this deck initially, I had double diamond and double wild cards, and since I don't have any double diamond cards left, I think I can afford to just play more ice so I hit my resource drops more consistently. Because, like, this hand really wants to Fate Weave here so I can guarantee a 4th shard. Probably have a Winter's Grasp here or something. Yeah, that's fine. So, assuming they don't have an interrupt for this, this will probably generate us a resource that'll guarantee another resource down the line. Like I said, I really kind of just want to get to Brosi on curves, that way I can make my opponent bin their hand. Yeah, make them draw a card, because if I bin this resource, I'm just going to, like, get super far behind. Shards, please. Ding, ding, ding. So play this. Play Shamrock. I could potentially jam this Brosi as early as next turn, but I think I want to try and get my Pathfinder down. My opponent plays a Dark Heart here. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. That's a Dark Heart. So this card says at the start of each player's turn, they have to sacrifice a non-socketed card they control, and most of my cards are non-socketed. So... I'm gonna play this out, get this. I think I'm gonna play this Exalted Pathfinder and just hit it with my champion power here. I can draw another resource guaranteed here. We're probably pretty dead. It's possible this Brosi-Buk can pull us through, so I'm not gonna just concede outright, but this removal into Dark Heart when I'm on the draw is pretty tough to come back from. All right, double Dark Heart. So I need a Rotting Chompknight here. Righteous Waxshot. Yeah, I think I just do this into this and then Brosi-Buk and hope for the best here. The sockets don't change the art, but this is an alternate art card. You can tell by the little swirl here on the side that it's alternate art. But it still has Runebind in their deck. All right, we're dead. Huh. Do I want more 2-drops on the play? Probably. Let's be more aggressive. I guess this card's really good against Dark Heart. I'm gonna cut one of these Jackhat Hecklers. I might want a 3rd Chompknight in my board. Chompknight is so good at breaking up their Dark Heart parity against you. Especially when they get multiples out, like the Chompknight could come down, kill the first Dark Heart, and then sacrifice to the second one and kill that one as well. And it's just like a 6/5 that beats them down. This hand is very good. Plays Righteous Waxshot on 1 into Jubilant Jouster on 2, and just pressure, pressure, pressure. Opponent takes a redraw. We got a Brosi-Buk here, so again, there's a reason why this aggressive deck has 24 resources in it. We really just want to hit our first 5 this game and go Jouster into Pathfinder into Brosi, like dump your hand while I have stuff in my hand. Shards, shards, shards. Alright, that eventually means more shards, so... Play a Leprechaun Artist here. He's probably going to eat it next turn, but if they don't have a Winter's Grasp, this Leprechaun Artist is going to generate us a lot of value, making us more stuff. Although I suppose we do need another Wild at some point, right? I believe the Dark Hearts are the last, almost the last 4. It's 96, 97, 98, 99, and then 100 is a primal pack of the current set. Feels like a Grasp here. Winter's Grasp is a 2-cost quick card that voids a troop with power 3 or less. We're gonna have to avoid one of these two dorks with it. Cards? Cards? Ding. Alright, let's play this. Oh, is it the last AA and a Dark Heart? Yep, Winter's Grasp as predicted. Hopefully we can hit a wild here, so we can go Pathfinder, or Shard, Pathfinder, Champ Power, play the wild, and the next turn Brosi-Buk. Let them draw a card. I don't really want to sacrifice either of my dorks. Alright, that's not another Winter's Grasp, so come on, Wild Shard. Or Well, or Dual Shard. Something that makes Wild. Alright, that's unfortunately not what I'm looking for. Play this, smash for 7. If we break on a resource, we're going to be in a lot of trouble here. Because if I break on a resource, these troops don't have momentum building anymore, and they're just not going to get hit for anything. If I hit a resource, I get to snowball into another resource, potentially. Alright, there's a Dark Heart. We could potentially beat this one if we hit a wild here. Ditch Jouster, I think. Needs to be a Shard. Come on, Wild. Right. Hit this on here so it gets extra momentum. Come on, Wild. Please, please, please. Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. I'm going to play this. I'm going to play this, and they actually have to chump block here, right? And this is where Brosi-Buk is just so... Oh, they're just dead, right? I was going to say Brosi-Buk's backbreaking, but this is actually just lethal. Kill your Dark Heart, kill you on 5. Sweet. Maybe I just want a third Chompknight. Dark Heart is just like one of their best cards against us, and Chompknight just like... hot knife through butters through it. Beat made deck crack, Big Magba. Do I want to play one more? Sure, let's play one more. Play one more before we wrap it up for the evening. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I really do appreciate it. Remember, if you're enjoying what you see, please hit that follow button. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps other people find my stuff. If you're really enjoying what you see, please consider subscribing on Twitch or becoming a patron on Patreon. Those both help support myself financially directly so I can spend more time doing stuff like this and less time doing other things. And as always, you can support my content by supporting my sponsors. HexPrimal.com would love to buy and sell Hex TCG singles with you. And if you use code Jeff5 at checkout, you'll save 5% on your singles orders there. And InkedGaming.com would love to help you customize your gaming experience. They do custom playmats, mouse pads, and sleeves, all sorts of different great stuff. You could upload your own artwork or choose from the wide range of artwork that they have on their website there. And for our last victim of the night here, catching us right at the tail end here, Biznitch. Everyone had a great weekend, gearing up to head back into their normal week. A bunch of packs that sold. Check all delete. Oh, the auction house is so great. Don't have to deal with anything, just list it and forget about it and eventually get platinum. Probably scared everyone off. Maybe we can queue back into that scrub Keter, get a rematch. Ooh, Cosmic Crown Showdown winner Identikit. You can see here this animated sleeve, which I actually think is quite ugly, means that you took first place in one of Hex's Cosmic Crown events. Blue Sparrow, draw 3, then choosing discard a card. Probably playing the Reanimator deck. And I don't think I can keep a hand like this in good conscience. I think I just need like a 1 or a 2 drop. I'm gonna keep this at 6, I guess. Not happy with this, but you have 2 shots to draw 1 or a 2 drop here at least. This hand is marginally better because my opponent is playing the Reanimator deck that Blue Sparrow often powers. Decree of Banishing is usually pretty good against them. They put like 1 fatty into play, and then if we can Decree of Banishing it, we can kill them through it. The animation on this isn't even the bad part. I just feel like the crown is gaudy. Candlekin taking a fireball, and this is just like an ideal start out of B for them, right? Like I just haven't done anything with my first 2 turns of the game. So their champion power kind of enables their Reanimator strategy. It lets them draw a card and then discard a card. Cockatrice. Okay, this makes me discard 2 cards. Yeah, I'm just gonna ditch those 2. I mentioned the Decree was kind of okay, but I think it's less important than hitting my threats consistently here. Play the Skylance Captain out. So Cockatrice was a card they revealed from their hand and then shuffled it or placed it randomly into their deck, and I had to discard 2 cards. They have another Cockatrice, going to be kind of a beating. And again, you know, just like kind of sucks to be me. Like I didn't have any pressure, so like they're able to just like play this card that didn't impact the board on turn 3, and I wasn't able to punish them for it. I have a cheap shot to kill this guy, so yeah, I think we're just probably going to be too far behind here. Probably just going to end up too far behind. Play this Leprechaun Artist, but like they've got 6 cards in their hand. I'm down to just 2 cards over here. Like probably done with this game for the most part. Opponent's deck is kind of like a combo control deck. I think this is a match where Brosi-Buk comes in just to like bin all the crap out of their hand. I don't think this is a matchup where Corners of the World comes in, but I could be wrong on that. Definitely a Chompasaur matchup because one of their threats is an artifact. If they have another Cockatrice here, it's just going to be super brutal. Just going to lose my last 2 cards here and be playing off the top. To loot. They could potentially bin a Cockatrice and then reanimate it. Big Buck's no scary, Big Buck's no scary, Big Buck's no scary. Discard an Eternal Seeker. This comes into play, it voids every card of a chosen number. So let's see if they have the reanimate. And they have a Cockatrice, yep. So like if I had a Brosi-Buk to top deck here, I'd just like play my Brosi-Buk and then I'd be ahead all of a sudden. Now I can't even attack with this if I don't draw a shard. Alright, well I guess I can get rid of their thing. Corners of the World is for the dedicated control decks, like Mono Blood, Blood Diamond, Diamond Sapphire. Matches where you need to grind. I'm going to concede to a reanimate spell here if they just put this back into play and void both my cards. Probably up a hill, up a hill without a paddle, regardless of what happens here. We'll have another cheap shot to kill this. Oh, not yet. All right. gonna Fate Weave a resource to the top of my deck at this point, so that way next turn I can put trigger momentum on these pre-combat. Dream Call for 5. Alright, so this looks at a bunch of random, this generates a bunch of random bullshit for them. Couldn't be literally anything. Normally this card's pretty terrible, but when I'm this far behind, random's probably good enough. Like, random cards on average are really low card quality. Alright, so what do you want to do here? I'm going to bring in these. I want to bring in these. This is not a Jackhat Heckler matchup. Probably not a Pippit Pal Palm of Granite matchup. I think that makes sense. Do it. Try and beep beep, go fast on the play. First. Oh, bollocks. It's a redraw. Just know there's like a coin flip that I get more diamond. I don't get diamond with this Fate Weave. Throw that back. Like, it's fine, right? It's to go Brighthammer Adept, Fate Weave for a third, and then hopefully run off a couple to get Brosi off on the play. Shamrock's a good hit. Means we had a non-slow shard on this Brighthammer Adept. We'll get to hit that next turn, and then hopefully our opponent playing cards will trigger the Shamrock to propel us into more resources to play this Brosi on curve. Oh, I made a mistake here. Well, I guess it's not. It's useful here. I think I'm supposed to put plus defense in this guy against cheap shot decks, but it paid off here since I got to Fate Weave a non-resource to the top like I needed to. Opponent changing course in response to Shamrocks. That way I don't get an extra lucky coin off of it. This is definitely the start that I need on the play here. The start that I would need on the draw too, just like 2 into 3. Not having a play until turn 3 was pretty detrimental in the first game for us. And now, like, if my opponent plays any card next turn, I'm going to get to go ahead and make a coin with this. And then once this makes a coin, that coin will Fate Weave, which will get us into our 5th resource so we can Brosi-Buk our opponent. So, they play a non-resource this turn. Yeah, I think so, JW. Because the plus defense means they can never cheap shot it. Yeah, it's the Crow Bones combo deck. Yassi went 7-0 in the Swiss of the Bash with this deck. So I'm expecting people to start picking it up. Cockatoice. Alright. And this is huge beating for us. Because it means that I don't get a coin up. Like, they got to use the resources this turn, and I didn't get a coin off my Shamrock. It's kind of a huge beating. I'm keeping Brosi here because, like, he's my one card that can like generate me back this card disadvantage. So if my opponent has another Cockatrice next turn, it's probably going to be too much to come back from, but bricking on a resource feels really bad there. Yeah, I mean the deck's really slow and clunky, right, Ken? Has Cockatrice and postboard against me is kind of interesting, especially on the draw. They're in the tank here, so hopefully this means they don't have a Cockatrice. I feel like if they have a Cockatrice, usually like snap off taking the last two cards out of my hand, right? That's such a tilt. Coral Cove Witch, okay. This is gonna let them eat my Brighthammer Adept. I guess this attack's pretty obvious, right? And again, I just like haven't been playing this matchup, so I wasn't thinking about it. And my opponent like has a Coral Cove Witch here to slam in here to gobble my thing up. So like I should have just attacked with my 4/4 and not attacked into their Quick Troop. So there's a really convoluted infinite combo with Crowbones. So if you use this Coral Cove Witch to reduce the cost of Sorceress Sculpting twice and make it free, you can make an arbitrarily large number of speed Crowbones. So like if my opponent actually has a Sorceress Sculpting and another Coral Cove Witcher, they actually go infinite this turn. And that's our 5th resource here. So that means that we are probably going to get to Brosi-Buk them next turn and just ditch all of these cards out of their hand. Which would be insane for us. What you got, opponent? Mordrim's Gift brings back a Cockatrice. Yeah, that's fine. I'm just gonna ditch these two. I can't play them all out anyways. Lose these anyways. And then my opponent's got 5 cards in their hand, but they are about to lose all of them, and we're both going to get 5 randoms here. So hopefully we're going to see Brosi-Buk do the Lord's work here. Play this out. Does draw a card here, so I'm going to have to discard some other things. I'm going to give this momentum. And then I'm going to play this and grab another resource here. So I have to lose this Exalted Pathfinder, but like they're losing 5 cards here, and we're losing a resource and an Exalted Pathfinder. So like, so long, we each get a bunch of randoms. What do we got here? Void target constant. Shroomkin. Deploy troops you control. Each get a random boon. Destroy target exhausted troop. Interesting. All right. Do I want to offer this trade is the question. I don't know that I do. I think I want to just pass here. Since I've got Shamrock Goldfather out, like if they want to play things out, they're going to have to give me coins, which will let me do stuff with this. So I think that's worthwhile just waiting here. And like this has momentum 2 on it now, so next turn this will be a 6/6. So if they give me a resource that can make this a 6/6 and draw another resource, this cage might be useful. Yeah, just hit flight on cage, right? Oh, the initial deploy gives everything the same one, so like Swift Strike or Flight would be good here, right? Opponent taking in what all their 5 random cards do. One of the things I really like about Brosi-Buk is it kind of puts your opponent, like, people that, like, practice a bunch, they need to, like, you know, this puts them into positions where their play patterns that they're not super familiar with. 1/1 and a random boon, okay. So this has 5/7 life drain now, sure. The rest of their cards must be pretty bad if that's what they're doing with themselves. And they don't want to attack with this. If they attack with this, it gives me like free reign to like crack back with the rest of my dorks. Rush is okay. Depending on what we draw for the turn, this fate. Oh, they just played another thing. Nameless Pact. You would be dealt damage. Void that many cards from random crypts instead. If you can't, you lose the game. Okay. So they're at 17 now instead of 10, basically. Right, the fact they give us another coin means I can Fate Weave non-resources to the top of my deck. Okay, all of my troops are now lethal. Alright, I guess I'm attacking with Brosi-Buk. These two would trade. This has lethal now. Oh, this lets me void a constant too, right? It's loot. Probably have plenty of stinkers to discard. Prejudice. Definitely a stinker. Are there traditional burn decks in Hex? And this, there have been in the past. In this current standard format, there isn't like a discard, like all of your cards are like 1-for-1 burn type stuff. What is this doing? Oh, this was generated from Brosi-Buk? That's funny. I think I'm going to keep these coins because they draw cards. So I'm going to go ahead and play this Leprechaun Artist out, and then I'm going to play this Brighthammer Adept out. And again, playing these out before I play my resource so they can get the momentum trigger off of it. A non-resource to the top. Play this Lucky Coin, Fate Weave a non-resource to the top. Draw here, see what we get. Righteous Waxshot. I don't know if I'm ready to trade off these two just yet. I'm definitely both of these can get in, right? We're just going to play Waxshot and Aura Eater, and then next turn we'll probably start attacking with everything. So Hex also doesn't have tutor effects, because in general tutors are either like prohibitively expensive to the point where they're not playable, or they're too good. Oh, I should have played these pre-combat, right? Because now I don't. Yeah, I should play these pre-combat because I don't get the boons now. Yeah, I forgot. I realized it right as you hit submit, Tom. I forgot Cage did stuff. And again, I talked earlier about this, you know, this being good against your opponents. Like, it's good against you too, Brosi-Buk, if you're just not used to the play patterns that some of these cards generate. This is only one resource to destroy a constant, right? So we can get rid of this Nameless Pact. Opponent could have been counting on that to give them extra health, depending on what they're doing here. I guess I'm kind of hoping to dodge a what's it called? An Eternal Seeker for 2 would probably be pretty good against us. Yep. I think I'm going to use this to void this in response. I think they're probably going to name 2 with this. They'll get rid of 1, 2, 3. Although I guess they could name 3 or 4 to get rid of these. Maybe they want to get rid of the Pathfinder that keeps drawing me cards. Nope, they're just naming 2. Okay. Interesting. So I think they can grind through these 2, basically. What that says. Hitting another Brosi-Buk would probably be pretty good. Do I want to slam into them here? I feel like I don't just yet, just because, like, if I put this in their bin, then they could draw Mordrum's Gift and bring it back into play again, so I think I want to just wait a turn. Although I suppose if they hit Sorceress Sculpting, that's scary on this too. It's kind of a damned if I do, damned if I don't type situation. Although they've already been to Sorceress Sculpting and they haven't been... Oh, I didn't Brosi swing, because I didn't want to put this in their bin for Mordrum's Gift. They haven't played any gifts yet. And like next turn, I'm going to get to trigger... Yep, there's a Mordrum's Gift, speaking of. They're going to get Mordrum's Gift back to their hand. Oh, they get Sorcerer Sculpting. God, this was... So Mordrum's Gift was bad for me either way, right? So I guess I should have attacked. Now they get to Mordrum's Gift, their Eternal Seeker. Hopefully they get frisky and I get to play this Overwhelming Guilt. So they make a copy of Eternal Seeker. Let's see what they want to get rid of here. My costs are spread out pretty nicely. I only have 2 1s. Like, they probably want to get rid of my 3s or my 3 or my 4. Probably the Exalted Pathfinder. He's the one that's really generating card advantage. Yeah. And I believe I have a couple of Fate Weaves stacked up at this point, so that means I can probably have 2 shots at some action. Yeah, so let's guarantee a non-resource on top of my deck here. And I'm going to go ahead and play this out first, so that way in case I lucky coin into a Brosi-Buk here. And these 3 things. Another Leprechaun. Was it? Where's the other gift at? Oh, it's voided from the Nameless Pact. You're right. Yeah, it's voided from the Nameless Pact. You are correct. I think I'm just passing the turn here. I boarded in my Rotting Chompknights, right? Yeah. Maybe I'm supposed to be more aggressive here. I don't know. Their board's pretty big. Okay, Necropolis coin. It's an interesting one for their deck. Hopefully they get frisky at some point, and then I get to Overwhelming Guilt and kill something. Another non-resource on top of my deck here. We have 3 Brosis and 39 cards. That could potentially be good for us. Them playing a random pooper is good for us. It gives us a coin. They could potentially just start swinging, right? Like if they attack with these 2, I'm just dead and 2 in the air. Wow, that's aggressive. Whoa, that's a total blowout. Holy, this card's really good. Stun each opposing troop. Wow. That is super powerful. So they just get all of these because they don't have anything right now. Man. Wow, that was good. That's a sweet card from the opponent. I think that's going to be the end for us. We'd have been able to kill him otherwise, right? We'd have done this, and they'd have gone to 15 and blocked these 2. No, we'd have been short, right? This is only... We'd have been 1 short. It doesn't matter. We're dead on board, Tom. Yeah, you should kill the other one because it doesn't have a action creation on it. It doesn't matter because we're just dead on board. All right, at any rate, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for the night, folks. I will catch all of y'all around later, and everyone have a good evening. We'll be back on Tuesday with more stream stuff.